Dad billed me $150K for being born. My dad didn't congratulate me when I bought my first house. He walked through it like a snobby home inspector, tapping walls, checking hinges, humming disapprovingly. I was still high from signing the papers that morning. My first home, paid for entirely by me. Then he sat at my new kitchen table, slid a black leather folder across the surface, and said, very calmly, "All right, time to settle up." I laughed. He didn't. Inside the folder was a spreadsheet, printed, highlighted, annotated, a list of every expense tied to my childhood. Doctor visits, school supplies, soccer cleats, a laptop from college, even snacks he'd bought for my lunchbox in elementary school. At the bottom, total $152,400. Below it, in red pen, you owe $150,000. What is this? I asked, honestly stunned. Dad straightened like we were in a business meeting. The cost of raising you, rounded down. I expect you to take a home equity loan and repay it. I blinked. You're charging me for being your kid. Don't be dramatic, he said. You're finally stable enough to contribute back to the family, and Emily needs help. There it was. The real reason my younger sister, the golden child who'd always gotten everything, he was planning a wedding, starting a bakery, and wanted a house. According to Dad, I should pitch in because I didn't have kids, wasn't married, and had plenty of disposable income. So let me get this straight, I said. You want me to borrow 150Ks, give you 50K as reimbursement, then give Emily 100K for her dream life. He nodded like it was the most logical thing in the world. You'll still have the house, he added. We're just asking you to be fair. Fair. That word hit me harder than the spreadsheet because nothing about my childhood or adulthood had ever been fair. To understand why his request made my skin crawl, you have to understand Emily. She's 2 years younger than me, but has always been treated like royalty, not spoiled, celebrated. Everything she touched was framed as a talent, a gift, a sign of her potential. Meanwhile, I was the practice kid. When I was 14, I saved up half the money for a cheap guitar and asked if they could help with the rest. Dad said, money's tight. 2 months later, Emily said she wanted to try horseback riding, not lessons, a horse. Suddenly, money wasn't tight. Growing up, every milestone followed the same script. I got straight A's, Dad circled the mistakes. Emily got B's. Dad clapped like she'd solved world hunger. At 16, I got a rusted hand-me-down sedan and a lecture about responsibility. Emily got a brand new SUV with a bow on top and a gas card because we want you to focus on school. In college, I juggled jobs and loans. Emily got tuition paid, a housing stipend, and care packages worth more than my monthly groceries. I told myself it was fine, unfair, but survivable. I went into IT, worked hard, paid off debt, saved, bought a house. But to my dad, everything I built still belonged to the family, meaning Emily. So sitting there in my new kitchen, staring at a literal invoice for my childhood, I finally understood something. To him, I was only useful now that I had money, and even that wasn't really for me. It was for his favorite. I didn't give Dad an answer, not that day. 3 days later, Emily called. She didn't even say hello. Dad said, "You're making the loan thing weird," she said, annoyed. "This is a huge chance for me. The bakery could be amazing. We'll name a cupcake after you." "Oh, good," I said. "My own cupcake in exchange for $100,000. She huffed. "You're being negative. Mom and Dad did so much for you. Why can't you give back now that you actually have money?" "Because it's insane," I said. "I'm not going into debt so you can have a Pinterest wedding and a hobby business." "It's not a hobby," she snapped. "It's my passion." "You've had a lot of passions," I said. Dad funded every single one. That landed. She went icy. "You've always been jealous." "Of what?" I asked. "That Mom and Dad like me," she said. "You were always difficult." That word again, difficult, used every time I didn't bend. I took a breath. "Did you know they kept a spreadsheet of everything they spent on me and decided I owe them 150K? She laughed like it was cute. "That's so Dad." "No," I said. "He doesn't have one for you." Silence. Then, "Well, maybe because I didn't cost them as much?" I stared at my phone. "Right, your SUV, your horse, your tuition, all free, I guess." She exhaled loudly. "Look, if you don't want to help the family, then just say it. I don't want to take out a massive loan because Dad thinks raising me was an investment." "Fine," she said. "But don't expect us to include you in things if you're going to be selfish." Then she hung up. Later that night, Mom texted me, "Your father is disappointed, so am I." That was the moment I realized they weren't asking. They were demanding payment. Dad invited me to their house the next weekend to talk like adults. I almost didn't go, but a part of me hoped someone would finally see how messed up this was. Nope. We sat at the dining table. The same spreadsheet was laid out like a legal contract. "Have you had time to think rationally?" Dad asked. "Yes," I said, and the answer is no. Mom flinched. Dad didn't. "You really want to throw away this family over money?" he asked. "You're the one putting a price on it," I said. "A very specific one." "We sacrificed for you," he snapped. "You think parenting is free? You think you don't owe us anything?" "I owe you respect, kindness, phone calls," I said. "I don't owe you my house or $150K payoff, and I'm not funding Emily's life so she never has to grow up." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "How can you be so cold?" "Cold?" I asked. "Last year you said you couldn't even co-sign my car because we're not a bank, but you expect me to bankrolling your retirement and her entire future." Dad stood up. "If you leave without agreeing, don't come back." For a second I thought he was bluffing. He wasn't, and for the first time, neither was I. "Okay," I said quietly. "I won't." Mom grabbed my arm as I walked to the door. "You're abandoning your family." "No," I said. "You abandoned me the moment you put a price tag on being my parents." And I walked out. I expected to cave, but they really did cut me off. Completely. No calls, no texts, no birthday message. My number vanished from the family group chat like I'd been deleted. Emily had her wedding without inviting me. I only saw pictures because a cousin posted them. Giant ballroom, gold accents. A cake taller than Emily. Exactly the kind of spectacle they expected me to help pay for. The first couple of months were rough. I kept reaching for my phone out of habit, imagining Mom calling about some minor drama, or Dad asking for tech help. Nothing. But then something strange happened. Silence started feeling like relief. I had time. I had space. I had weekends that didn't involve fixing things at their house, or giving Emily free rides. I repainted my living room, learned guitar, started baking for fun. I actually enjoyed my house. The house they tried to turn into a bank vault. One night, my cousin called. "Just so you know," she said, "everyone knows what your parents did. They're just too scared to confront them." I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. She added, "Emily keeps telling people you abandoned the family over money, but she also won't shut up about how much easier things would have been if you just cooperated." Figures. But the truth was simple. I wasn't trying to ruin their lives. I was just finally living mine. 8 months later, I'm okay. Actually better than okay. I thought I'd regret walking away. I thought guilt would crush me. But instead, the distance let me see my family clearly for the first time. They didn't want a son. They wanted a provider. They didn't want fairness. They wanted obedience. And they definitely didn't want a relationship unless it involved a check. Last week, I got an email from an unknown address. "I heard what you told your parents. Honestly, I get it. Ryan, Emily's husband." I didn't respond. What was there to say? I'm not waiting for an apology. I'm not hoping they show up someday with the spreadsheet in ashes. I just want a life where love doesn't come with a price tag. Dad demanded $150K for raising me and wanted me to bankroll my sister's entire future. I said no. Maybe I lost a family, but I gained something better. A life that finally belongs to me, and me alone.